Howdy folks, Doc Reese back again. I didn't realize that I had this much of a lapse in videos, so I apologize. Right before I left North Dakota, I rushed to get this Jeep together, to get it in the trailer to move it down here to Georgia. So there's a lot that I did and didn't document. But chassis is completely painted in black, matte, or I guess it's satin black. Painted everything I could, got it all cleaned up. Really the only thing I didn't hit was the very outside around the brake drums and things like that, because I'm going to be doing some work there. So when I actually pull the wheels off, get that all cleaned up, and then I'll paint the backing plates and things like that for the brakes. But everything else is done. It's pretty dusty from riding down here and sitting in the trailer for a while, but it turned out really nice, like the transmission transfer case. Cleaned up the bell housing. I just took the wire wheel to it, cleaned it up. Engine is painted back to the original AMC color. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but the can's on a shelf there. I can look. Wanted to do something a little different to offset it a little bit. So I went to factory blue. I think it is blue or green, whatever. Painted the crank pulley black, chassis matte black, or satin, I guess, black. Painted the motor mounts silver, and painted the tailpipe, they call it aluminum color. Just something to give a little offset. And then the exhaust manifold is going to be a dark gray metallic color, almost like a real cast iron color to it. So just a little contrast is something I'm looking for. So yeah, chassis done. I painted the tank on the outside with the coater and coated the inside as well, because it's a brand new tank, so I figured it would rust pretty quick, so I just went ahead and coated it. The tub is done. I actually put it on the chassis when I brought it down here, then had to get it back off again so I could finish my chassis work. But silver, satin silver on the inside and underneath. Obviously can't show the underside, but just completely coated the inside, and then I ran up on the kick panels there and on the front of the firewall. That's all coated. So they should be good for a while. Let's see what else we're going to note. I just finished the clamps for my wiring here. Got these pretty nice stainless clamps with rubber grommets on it to run all my wiring. That cleaned that up real nice, and it also worked real nice to run my fuel line. I got, I forget what coating is on it, a 5/16 coated fuel line, and I went ahead and coated it again with some of my chassis paint just to add a little bit more protection. But got these clamps and everything on there and got it ran right up the side of the engine, right to the fuel pump. So all I need to do is put my hose on there when I put my new fuel pump on. Since I was at it, went ahead, pulled the old distributor out, put a HEI in it, put an HEI and a 2-barrel Holley on this. Had to take the head of the machine shop. I couldn't get my valves lapped in. There's just so much rust because this engine, like I said, had been filled with water. So inside the intake and exhaust ports here, it was just a mess in there. And the valves, I figured, probably wouldn't work very well. So I just took it to the machine shop, had them clean it up. I threw it back together. I have not put the top end back together yet. The valve covers are sitting on here. But go ahead and put my push rods in, get the top end back together. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm actually getting ready to leave back out the door again tomorrow, so I want to try and get this buttoned up as much as I could before I left. And then plan is when I come back, go ahead and get my U-joints, things like that, get all my chassis work done. So once I put the tub on it, my work underneath the Jeep will be minimal. So much easier to work on it from the top like this when I don't have a tub sitting on top of it. I got my wiring ran up to here. Got a big long pigtail left on it. Made these harnesses myself, so that way when the tub's on it, I can just run it up and I'll have plenty to work with to cut and route it the way I need to. Same way in the back here. I'm going to get myself a ground bus. I ran a ground wire in this harness so I can run all my grounds to one place and then run it back to the front to a ground bar up there. But left myself some slack back here as well for the taillight harness, my gas gauge, brake lights, all that good stuff. Another thing I'm going to have to do is go to the exhaust shop because this tailpipe, that when they had it before, they ran this tailpipe back to here like this, but the gas tank was in the back of the tub. So I put a gas tank in here again. When I get everything mounted up, I'm not sure that I'm going to want this tailpipe right here where the gas tank is. And actually, coming down here, my Jeep was my catch-all for everything out of the garage. I had a generator in there, the MD head, a bunch of stuff. That tub was just filled, and I must have hit a bump pretty good, and this suspension bottomed out, and the tailpipe actually went up into the gas tank and put a little bit of a dent in the bottom of the gas tank. So another reason why I don't want to do that. So go to the exhaust shop, find myself a 45. I'll cut this off here somewhere, do the 45 out here to where the factory had the exhaust pipe coming out. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I discovered too that pinion seal is leaking, so I'll take care of the front and rear ones before I put the tub back on. I'll go ahead and pull the wheels, redo all the brakes. The brake lines are in good condition, not worried about that. But since I have it this far, do my wheel cylinders, do my brake shoes, things like that. Took the steering box apart. I have a feeling the bushing shot in it, but it's probably going to be just as easier to replace the whole gearbox because I put it all back together. And if the gears in there are worn, I'm still going to have sloppy steering, despite the fact that all new tie rod ends and things like that. So I'm probably going to have to buck up and spend the $300 for a new steering gearbox, even though I don't really want to. Go ahead and run in here and look at the manifold real quick. So this manifold, I think I'm going to take a machine shop, have them cook it out or something, because I don't want all this junk going into my brand new rebuilt engine. I pulled a mouse nest out of it. There's a distributor I pulled out. I'm still waiting on my carb adapter. Let's go from the Carter style to the Holley base. Still waiting on that. It'll be here hopefully soon. But this manifold's in good shape. So I'm just go ahead and paint it. I got, yeah, I don't know if it's got the color on it or not. Charcoal metallic is what the manifold is going to be. And then motor coater. AMC engine metallic blue is what I painted the engine. In theory, this is correct for the Jeep year, but not for the engine year because the engine is a 76. But don't care, it's my Jeep, doing it the way I want to. I just want to get her running at this point, running and driving. So that's where she sits. Like I said, I'm going to be gone for I don't know how long, but I'm going to keep on plugging away at it when I can. Appreciate you watching.